myself, and also proving to myself that like these fears are always going to be there, but if I choose to listen to them, I'm not going anywhere. But if I choose to work against them, like not against them, but just like maybe work alongside them, let them push me to prove them wrong, then that becomes kind of like an empowerment instead.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Fearless Women podcast. My name is Sophia, and today I'm joined by the beautiful Nicole Jonsson, and I'm so happy to be hosting her today. I think she has beautiful energy, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear her story. And I think you're gonna love her. And Nicole, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh my god, thank you so much. What a nice introduction. That made me so happy. So yeah, I'm Nicole. Firstly, hi Sophia. And I'm Nicole. I am a 24-year-old health and travel enthusiast, and I live in Sweden. And I'm a certified life and success coach, specializing in holistic health and wellness. That's what I do.
When you say holistic health and wellness, what exactly can we understand from like this?
Yeah. So the thing is that when people talk about health coaching, I know a lot of people focus on like, okay, so that means diet and exercise, like maybe like a meal plan and like a workout plan. And that's not what I do. Like I focus on holistic health. And what I mean by that is like the full spectrum of health. So we know that health isn't just your diet and your like workout routine. It's how you sleep, like how many hours you sleep, the quality of sleep you get. It's the stress, the everyday stress, the chronic stress as well. It is, of course, partly like how you move, and how you eat. But your diet is not only what you eat, it's what you consume. It's like news, it's social media. Like that is called your diet too, everything you consume. So it's just such a like big spectrum. I would say like relationships as well, and your social life. It's also part of your health. It also contributes to your mental wellness and everything like that. So it's just so big and broad, and that's what I want to like bring more awareness to, that health isn't just diet and workout. It is like the full spectrum, and if one thing is out of balance, it can affect all the others. So kind of like taking my clients in and figuring out like where do we need to focus on, like where is the root of it, so we can just work on like a healthier lifestyle that makes you feel more energized and happy, and just um I don't know, more alive, I would say, like a better quality of life. That's what I want to bring to people.
It's beautiful. And so I have read your bio, and but I just want to ask for the audience, like, why did you get into that field of coaching? Why is it something that interests you?
So like there's a long story and then there's a short story to this.
Please.
Yeah, so I would say like just making it okay. So to go back, like I think that it's like for me, I would say that my health issues started way too early. Like I wished it would have been different, but of course I understand that that's why I'm here today. But my health issues started already in like middle school, and to realize that I was struggling with my health because of extremely poor diets. I slept 5 hours a night, and I thought that was normal. And I was stressing so much. That was my natural state. That was just stressed. And like I thought that it was normal. I thought everyone else was living that way. And it was also, when you come to that age that you have the pressure of how you look and how you should act, how you should be, you start becoming aware of all of that. So I think it's like it was so much at the same time, and not knowing, not even having the tools and techniques of how to take care of myself, how to make sure I was healthy. I didn't know I was unhealthy, but I always had low energy. I was constipated for years. I was like I said, like constantly stressed. I skipped meals because I was, trying to stay thin because I thought that was what everyone liked. And then I realized that instead I ended up binge eating so much crappy foods. And like my body didn't know how to handle all of that, all of the shitty food, bad sleep, and the stress, like all of that together just piled up into these diseases that showed up a couple of years later. And it was diseases that I didn't understand, like gastritis, vertigo. Like I was like, what is that? What is happening to me? Like I was up throwing up like for 2 weeks straight every night. I was just throwing up. And then the day after I went to school and then I came back home, fell asleep, woke up, threw up. It was the worst the worst thing ever. And I didn't understand what was happening to me. I didn't know why I was so sick. And it just kept coming and kept coming. And it was just like lack of knowledge and like just, yeah, it was just lack of knowledge. And I think that if I would have known how to take care of myself or had some kind of tools or techniques to, you know, not put myself in that situation, it wouldn't have come back years later as well. So I did have the gastritis and stuff. And then when I figured out that it was because of the stress and diet and everything, it just came back like a couple of years later because I went into the exact same loop of, no sleep and stressing so much because of school finals and stuff. And I just realized this pattern that every time it came, and I started getting so sick, that's when I started taking care of myself. But then when I got healthy again, I stopped taking care of myself because I thought that, okay, but now I'm healthy again, so now I can go back to my regular routine. And then it just kept coming back as a really bad circle of just like a never ending circle, I would say. So to answer your question and not just keep on spiraling, that just really woke my interest. I kind of my eyes just opened up when I started realizing that this is a pattern. It keeps coming up. And when I'm there, when I'm at my sickest, only thing I'm praying for is to get well again. Like the only thing I'm praying for is my health. I don't care about anything else. Like nothing in the world matter until I'm healthy again. And that's how I realized that health is such an important part of our lives. It can like really trap us in our bodies. If we're sick, we can't do much about it. Of course, it depends on how sick we are. So I don't know, it just woke my interest in health. Like, how do I take care of myself? How do I build a healthy, sustainable lifestyle that is gonna not put me back in these diseases? Like, just gonna prevent them instead of helping me get out of them when I'm there. Like, I want to prevent it. I don't want it to come up again. I don't ever want to feel that bad again because for me, I didn't understand it then, but it was the sickest I've ever been in my life. And I was 15 first time it happened, I think. So I was like, that is not normal. That is not okay. Why did I even think that was okay? And why did I continue doing the same stuff? So I think that it was just to wrap it up. I think that my whole journey with struggling with my health and coming to the conclusion that health is the most important thing I have. It's priceless. It really is. That's what made me realize that if I can help someone else not go through all of that and help them build a sustainable lifestyle that prevents it, and if they're already there, I can help them get out of it, then that is what I want to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So first of all, thank you so much for sharing your very personal and vulnerable story. And I just had a thought when you were talking about it, because for so many people it's the same. They are, because you said one thing, I thought it was normal. And it's so interesting because so many times when it's concerning health, the things that we think are normal are actually not natural, or doesn't necessarily have to be natural, from nature perspective.
Yeah.
And I think it's so true. So you were also stuck in that mindset of oh, it's normal for me. So I guess yeah, no, but you can change. And
Mm.
there are ways to change. Um,
Mhm.
so I found that super interesting. Um, what I'm really curious about is like when you say holistic health and it's like when you look at the health of a person, it's not only like one topic. So you mentioned the gut health, the stress, the sleep deprivation. Like, how are the all of these connected?
That's a super good question, and I could probably talk about it for hours. So I'm gonna try to make it short and just give you an example. So, for example, like if you want to work on your gut health and you are in like constant stress, like fight or flight, and you're not sleeping at all, and you are feeling like your mental health is totally ruined because of a bad relationship you have or something else, then like we can't just focus on like, here, you should eat more of this and everything is going to solve itself. It's not going to work that way, because there's so many other things that is also affecting your gut health, and if we don't figure them out, then even if we try the hardest we can to fix your gut health, it's not going to be fixed, because your nervous system is so connected to the guts, and your like everything is connected, like it's so interconnected that if one, like I said before, if one thing is out of balance, it is going to affect all the others. And to fix one thing, maybe you need to fix some others too, because they are so connected. So it's the same with, for example, if you suffer from a lot of stress, and we try to focus on, breathing exercises that you can do, and meditation and journaling to get those like stressful thoughts out of your head, but you're not sleeping, like you're not sleeping more than 5 hours like I was, then like your body's not going to have the like, how do you explain that? Like your body's not going to have the ability to handle that stress. It doesn't matter how much you breathe. Like your body needs the sleep as well. And if you eat too much, like shitty foods, sorry for saying that, but if you eat too much like really shitty foods, then like I said before, like your nervous system is so connected to the gut. And what is stressing the gut is stressing your nervous system as well. And it goes both ways. So it's just like, trying to wrap it up, it is so interconnected that you can't just say like, okay, um, well, I want to fix my gut and I want to focus on eating more vegetables, if the bigger issue is your excessive stress and your poor sleeping habits, or like a really bad relationship in your life. So like that's why we always need to look at the full picture. We need to see everything before we can realize where the root is and where we need to start focus. And sometimes it is as easy as the gut health. Sometimes it is just like bad food habits, like eating habits, or like maybe like an allergy or something simple. But it's usually a much bigger root, and that's what people miss because of lack of knowledge, which I had the same as well. Like I didn't know, and everyone is so different, so I can't say that I know everything. Definitely not. I'm learning with my clients and we're figuring out together. And that's the cool part. Like just seeing them realize and seeing myself realize that, wow, that's a really good connection there. And just like, I don't know, it's just a never ending learning, I would say.
Oh, that's pretty cool. It also helped me understand it a little bit better, which is super nice. So if somebody that is listening right now to this has like similar symptoms, let's say, how would they start this journey? What would you recommend looking into?
Mhm. That's a really good question. Did you mean like similar symptoms to what I was experiencing?
Like maybe somebody's like super stressed, has like a little bit of, it doesn't need to be like constipation, but like a nervous stomach or like whatever, like I don't know, or like maybe some skin issues.
Yeah. So I can say that like in my own journey, I started figuring out the diet part.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't think that there's necessarily one thing that you should start with. I think it's very like personal, like what you would want to start with and what's going to help you the most. But for me, it was definitely the diets. I went from eating like everything And I think my diet mostly consisted of candy, sugar and candy. Like I was a candy addict, like a real addict. And for me, I just didn't know that what I was eating was affecting my mental health. It was affecting my physical health. It was affecting like everything. It was affecting my sleep as well. I slept so bad because of my eating habits. And I was so stressed because my like guts was so inflamed by all the foods I was eating. So yeah, for me it was the diet. I started there. I started figuring out like if I had allergies, like checking that up to see if that was something that contributed. And then of course it like when I started learning more about health, I started realizing that like I'm poisoning myself with what I'm eating. I need to start eating better. So I just started, for example, I started baking my own stuff because I knew that I will always have my sweet tooth. I loved chocolate, I loved candy, I loved all of that. So I was like, how can I still continue eating it, but just make it like a better alternative? So like I don't want to have just one snack every Saturday. I want to have one every day if I want, and I want to be able to eat it without ruining my whole like gut microbiome and everything. So that's where I started getting this interest in like baking stuff with alternative foods instead of using like chemicals and toxins and like all of that I knew was inflaming my guts. And of course we all are different. I know that when you start building up a stronger gut, some of your allergies could go away as well. Like some of the allergies that you've been suffering with for like your whole life could actually just go away because your gut is much stronger and it has the right bacteria to like fight these foods. But when my gut was at the worst, I was reacting to everything. Everything was making me bloat. Everything was making me constipated. Everything was like hurting me. Like I was walking around with stomach aches all the time, and I didn't know what it was. Like I didn't know even where to start looking. So yeah, sorry, back to your question now. It's really individual. So I would say like the basic stuff are of course make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you don't have any like vitamin deficiencies because only that can affect your health so much. Yeah. And make sure that your diet is um supporting your body. If you know, like of course this is like a very big thing to say, but because some people don't even know what is healthy and unhealthy, and some people even like don't even talk that language too. I don't want to say like classify like this is unhealthy, you shouldn't eat that. I don't do that. But I also understand that there are some things that you don't need to have in your diet that you really could exclude, and you would do your body a favor. So yeah, I would just say that kind of like doing some personal work and figuring out what you need, like what vitamins you need, what sleep you thrive out of, like what hours of sleep that you need, to make sure as well that you're getting quality sleep. Because I know that some people might sleep for 10 hours and they wake up feeling super tired because they didn't get any deep sleep at all. They were, waking up a couple of times, going to the bathroom, just waking up and not being able to fall asleep again. That sleep, it doesn't matter if you get 12 hours of that sleep, it's not going to give you the same energy as deep sleep does. So that was a very blurry answer to your question. But it is really like such a big question, and I think that personally figuring out what you need to focus on first and then just taking it step by step, that would be the best way.
Okay. So it's like I'm trying to like think about it for myself, for example, like this is what people can expect working with you. So you would like analyze with them together and try to like find the cause together, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And then you would like, how do you proceed from that?
So what we do is that I usually start, of course, there's some clients that comes in with like a really specific goal, like this is my goal.
Mhm.
And then like if the client is like really sure this is the goal and it seems to be working all right throughout our coaching, that is what we're going to focus on. And some clients, they come in and just say like I need help, and we start figuring out by doing like a health assessment and figuring out like okay, where do we need the most work at? Like where, in what area of this like health spectrum do we need to work? Do we need to start with? So that's what we do, and then we start there. We build up goals and we do action plans, and we work together like weekly on like a live like online call, and also like through messages as well, and just build this lifestyle and like change these habits, build new routines and stuff that is going to support that goal. But then there are some cases that I have like one specific in mind where a client came in with a goal, and I was like, okay. And then we started like digging deeper into like why is this your goal? And we started figuring out that like the more deep we got, that wasn't even the goal anymore. The goal became to get 8 hours of sleep a night, because that person wanted to like that person wanted to reach their goal to get more energy. But we figured out that it wasn't that goal that was like the main issue. The thing that was the main issue was that that person hadn't slept a good 8 hours of sleep. I think it was since 9 years of age, because that was like when a trauma happened. And that person was 50 now. So from 9 years until 50, and they haven't been able to sleep through a whole night without waking up. I was like, I think we have our main issue. Like, I think that's where we need to do the work. And we started. And after, I think it was 2 sessions, the client came back and said, like, I had my first night of full sleep since I was 9 years old. And I just remember like the chills I got in my body. Like I just got the biggest feeling of happiness, and I was so proud, and also proud of them and myself. And it was just like in the beginning of my journey as well as a coach. And like that feeling was indescribable. Like I lived off of that feeling for like a month, just feeling like, wow, I made a difference. And I realized that I can help people, because like we have talked about it before, Sophia, about imposter syndrome showing up and being like, but who am I? Who am I to help someone? Who am I to be the one who's gonna like, make someone healthier, like give someone like, or not give someone, but support someone in creating a healthier lifestyle for themselves. Like I'm just me. But what if everyone would say that and no one would make a difference in the world? That's the thing. Like we're so hard on ourselves, and then just getting one of those wins for me was like it. Yeah, it was such an important part of my journey because it gave me what I needed to continue.
A real big boost of confidence there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So this is an amazing example of how you can actually help like your clients. I think this is like very important for the audience to hear that, like how would you approach those topics with your clients, and then like the success stories. I think those are the best advertisements that you can do for like your coaching. And you said it yourself, like we had a quick chat before this interview and we were both talking about the imposter syndrome. So we've been talking about it, and I don't know if you're comfortable like going a little bit deeper into it, but like it's like what a lot of people struggle with the imposter syndrome, and it's like also related to stress in a way, like it is stressing you out in some way or another.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. The thing is that I don't think it matters like how long you've been in the business or how long you've done something. I think that imposter syndrome is something that could be with you forever, but you learn how to live with it and you learn how to separate yourself from it. That's like it is kind of like a fear. It is a fear that comes up, but it doesn't mean like I don't have to identify with this fear. I don't have to say that I am an imposter. It's just a fear of, not being good enough, or like just something that I think is something we create in our heads, but also something that society creates in our heads. So it's just like both the internal influence and the external influence. Um, and I would say, like, in the beginning, I didn't know how to figure it out. And I would say now I cannot say that I have figured it out, but it is like continues, like, working on it, improving, like, self-growth, just improving myself, and also proving to myself that, like, these fears are always gonna be there, but if I choose to listen to them, I'm not going anywhere. But if I choose to work against them, like, not against them, but just, like, maybe work alongside them, let them push me to prove them wrong, then that becomes kinda like an empowerment instead. Um, but yeah, I would love to hear what you think about that too.
Yeah, same, like imposter. I literally use the same wording for my interview. Like, who am I to tell somebody else? Like, or like, I don't know. And I think the imposter syndrome is such a big issue for like many, many people. Uh,
Mm,
but I guess like there was one really interesting quote, and I think it was actually from Jay Shetty, that like even though you're not there yet, what if you go with the other people to reach that goal? Like,
mm,
so for example, you don't need to be like the master of, what if like on the journey to like helping somebody else to the state where you are at that moment, you help them, but while doing that, you're growing further.
yeah,
That one was for me like mind blowing. So
yeah,
like, yeah, I don't need to have it figured out all like 100%. I don't need to be like the master or like
mm,
have like the whatever. No, I can help somebody to the state where I am at, definitely,
yeah,
and then grow from there, or like while helping somebody else outgrowing like
yeah,
or that version. And I find that like that is something that I try to remind myself of a lot.
yeah. No, for sure, that's so true. I love that saying as well. And that is like, I realized that too, that we kind of like work alongside our clients too. It's not just like I would never consider myself here and my clients here, and now I'm gonna bring them like bring them up so that they know as much as me. Like I always consider all us, like you do too. Like we're here both and we work together. We work together, like you know yourself more than I know you. So for me to help you, I need to start knowing you as well, and you need to start knowing yourself more as well. So we like work alongside each other all the time. And like you said too, it's just like I think we have this concept as coaches and also as humans that we we always need to be like done, to be finished to be able to help someone else. Like my journey need to be completely finished for me to be able to help someone else and like bring them to the finish line too. I don't believe in that. I think that we're going to be students of life like our whole life. It's never going to be a finish line. We learn like all the time. Some at some points of my life I felt like wow, I've grown so much, but I've never felt like wow, I've grown enough. I think I'm done now. Like, never reached that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wow, that is like I love that. Like I it's so true because you would never say like never in my life would I say I've grown enough. I can stop now.
Yeah.
That would be like
It's
that would be actually so arrogant.
Yes. Exactly.
I think like if you have this certain awareness, then you're like, yeah, I've outgrown that version of myself, but there's always room for improvement. Not to say like get the pressure of like, oh my God, I always need to improve myself. But no, like just knowing that you will outgrow certain versions of yourself and then, like always learning. And you said it beautifully, be a student of life. And it's so true.
Yeah.
And it's actually like what we as coaches we experience every time that we sit down with a client because we always this like interchange of like the learning and
Mm.
it's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I can share something that I
Yeah.
remember feeling a lot, like through the school, when I like before I got certified. I remember having this fear of like, but I was 23 years old then, and I was like, but I'm just 23. Like, who is going to want my help, like who is going to see me as someone who can help them. Like I had so many fears around my age, like not being like who would pick like a 23-year-old over a 50-year-old. But then I realized that age really has nothing to do with it. because it's like how we choose to spend our years here on this earth. That's what matters. Because if I choose to spend my life not learning anything, not prioritizing growth, not evolving as a human being, then I'm going to be stuck at the same place where I was when I was 18, maybe, or 15, or like even younger than that. But if I choose to prioritize growth and choose to always see myself as like, I can always be better, I'm never the best, I can always improve myself, then there's no such thing as like one age being smarter than the other, or like someone being better than you just because they're older. And I think just like that's something I've just like thought about recently, because I realized that I'm starting to work through that thought, and I'm starting to go back to how I felt then. And I remember everyone telling me, like, but why do you see that as something negative? That you have now your whole life to study this, while some of us figure out our purpose when we're like 64 and we don't have as much time as you do. And I just remember like realizing at that point, like, wow, like we compare ourselves so much to everyone, and we always focus on what is the like what is the negative in it. Like, okay, that person is older than me, and that makes me like worse than them, or that makes me like less of a coach than them, or something like that, instead of being like, wow, how cool that we're we have such a big like difference in age, and that person knows so much that I don't, and I know so much that that person don't, because our lives are totally different. We have lived them differently. We have um just experienced it differently too. So I don't know why I just like wanted to bring that up. I just remember that that was like one of my fears in the school, that I've just realized that like it's such a silly fear, but it's also a fear. Like we have so many fears, and realizing when we have actually like worked through them, that is kind of cool. And that's something that I realized through coaching too, that a lot of clients have a lot of fears, and I never see them as like, oh, that's such a bad thing, because I know that I have and I had fears like my whole life. And I was just thinking about our fearless women thing too, that it is just fearless women. And it's not about not having fears, it's about having fears and working through them, having fears and like using them to your advantage, and not letting them like stop you or put you in this box or imprison you. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, and thank you for sharing that as well. Because first of all, I want to say that, like, because you labeled it silly, um, I think that every emotion or every fear is like valid because it comes from somewhere.
Mm.
Um, but yes, being able to then take it to your advantage, moving it around, like changing your mindset towards it, like that is the one thing that what it's all about. And I wanted to say one more thing. Yes, so the you mentioned like the different ages of like or that was like your fear of like, wow, I'm so much younger than somebody else, and like who am I? And I think I love that you like even said it yourself, like everybody has a different timeline. So for example, you're 24 years old, but with 15 years old you already had like severe health issues that somebody up until their 50s will never have experienced. But when they're over 50, they might come into that situation and they're like, well, I was healthy my whole life. Something like trauma happened or whatever it was. And then they started to change their behavior that they didn't even realize it. And now they have like some issues.
Yeah.
But you being like, you went through that in a super young age. So it was like a completely different timeline. But then you will be able to help such a person just because yes you're younger but you have gone through that earlier in your stages of life. So I think that is also like a beautiful reminder of like, yes, you can have other people even though if you're much younger, just because other people will not be confronted until they're whatever 50s 60s, and they will need help, and they actually might like the help of like someone young and like very fresh mind and not being like super, I don't know, how do you say that? What is the English word? Now we're getting into the. the language issue.
Yes. I also struggle with that.
I think ignorant, but yeah, like too ticed up or something like that. Like we,
Yeah,
you know.
I get what you mean. And thank you for highlighting that because it is such a true story. And like I told you about the client who was 50, I remember entering that relationship with that like the coach relationship with that client and being like why why did that person need my help?
Mm,
Like she's so wise and lived like more than double my life.
mhm,
And then I just realized through my success with her that doesn't matter how old or young we are, like we are all wise in our own way. She brought me so much like insight too that I didn't know then. Like we learn from each other, and I really love that. That's the favorite thing about like human interaction, that we all experience life so differently, and we all like you said, we have our own timelines, and we learn so much throughout them, and then we share that with each other and we learn so that someone else doesn't have to go through the same thing. They can learn from your mistakes and they can learn from your growth. Everyone doesn't have to experience everything, and that it's, I don't know, it's such a nice thing.
I love that. I love like this whole conversation in general. Like it went from the gut health to the stress, and now we're in the imposter syndrome. Um, but yeah, just maybe to bring it back a little bit more to your niche. So like when like what are like would you say, I think we already touched on that, like, but what are the principles of holistic health living, healthy living? Yeah. So like what are the golden rules? I think like you already said, like minimum 8 hours of sleep, for example, like having a good diet. Um, would you share some tips?
Yeah, of course. I would say so I would definitely, like you said as well, like getting good quality sleep. I know that people need different amount of sleep. Some people need 7 hours to feel great. Some people need 9 hours to feel great. Like to figure out your ideal time, like your ideal like hours that you need for to feel your best, to feel wake up feeling energized, and to go through the day with like stable energy and all of that. So yeah, definitely, like, okay, first of all, figuring out yourself, I would say. And that is figuring out what, like, how many hours of sleep you need. Also, a balanced diet. And I know that there's so many different diets out there in the world, in social media right now, saying like you should be carnivore, you should be vegan, you should be this, you should be this. I've been vegetarian, pescatarian, vegan, gluten-free, sugar-free. I've been everything, I feel like, except for carnivore. And I realized that like these stamps, like putting these stamps on like what I am, made me suffer even more, made me stress even more. Like when I was vegan, gluten-free, and sugar-free at the same time, my biggest fear was going out in a restaurant with my friends, because I needed to check all the restaurants in Stockholm, see if there was any restaurant that served something that I could eat, and it always ended up being a salad. And I just remember like thinking back to it, that stress was not healthy. So today, when someone like asks what I'm eating, I'm like I'm not putting this stamp on me, because I'm trying to eat a balanced diet. That's what I'm eating. That is my diet. Balance at what works for me, and like what works for someone else, it's not gonna work for me. So that's why I'm like telling you, it's so important to figure out like your body type, like what works for you. And then mindful movement. Um, some people, like, strength training works for some, yoga works for some, walks or running works for some. Like figure out like some kind of movement that you enjoy, because that I can I can actually spill a little secret about myself. I hated working out like my whole life. Like I hated it. Like that was the worst thing I knew. And I knew that if I just work out, I will have the exact body as I want. because I knew I was eating well, I was sleeping well, I was taking care of myself in every possible way except for movement, because I hated working out. And today I realized that I hated working out because I felt the pressure that, okay, but if you're gonna go to the gym, you have to go to the gym this amount of days a week to be good enough, like to be able to call yourself like a person who goes to the gym. And like it was all of these like society rules and stuff. I couldn't just do whatever I wanted. And today what I'm doing is that I'm going on walks, spending time in nature. And I also joined a football team of women who just plays for fun and for exercise. So we just meet up every Wednesday at a football court here in my area, and we just play like games. Like we split up into teams and just play games for 1 hour. And there's like from 18, like I think the youngest one is 18 and the oldest one is probably 60 something. And none of us like have, like some of them have football background. I definitely don't. So when I came in there in the beginning, I just remember getting a ball there and like and I didn't know what was happening. But today I like I'm so excited. I think it's so fun to play with people because I don't feel the pressure. No one there is like, oh, you should be better, or oh, why don't you know this rule? Like if I don't know the rule, they're like, it doesn't matter. You don't have to play by that rule. Do whatever you want, just play and have fun. And I'm like, wow, does it work that way? So I think it's like all the pressure as well of like how you should work out to be able to work out good. Like do what feels good for you. Of course, don't go to the gym and like take like a 200 kilos bench press if you can't do that. But just like figure out what is making you happy, what kind of movement is um making you feel good. It's not feeling like, this feeling of when you before you're gonna go and work out and you just like really don't want to. I understand that too. Some days when it's raining, I don't want to go and play football. I'm like, I don't know, like watching a Netflix series would be nice too. But every time I go there, I feel so great and I'm so happy. And I just like walk around in the house like, yay, that was so fun. And that for me is so new.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm answering such a long like answers now on all of these. It's
I
just
love it,
because it's so complex.
but I think it's like super important for the audience as well, just to hear like more of like the personal aspect of those answers. Like how do you relate to it as well? Because that is more like how people can identify with it as well. And from what I'm hearing, like considering the question as the golden rules, I think like to sum it up would be everybody is so individual. Like it doesn't matter what you do, may it be the sleep, the diet, the movement. You said it beautifully. Just figure out who you are and what your needs are. Like listen to your body, listen to your intuition, what feels good, what doesn't, and then stick to that. Don't put labels on it. Just try to figure out, just try to listen, become more aware of yourself, of your mind, of your body. And I think that's such a beautiful reminder, because I think like society has lost that nowadays, that everybody's just like, oh, this is a new trend on Instagram, I'm going to do it.
Mm.
Yeah, but maybe it doesn't apply to you and your body type, or like your, I don't know, stress resilience or whatever.
Yeah.
Everybody is so unique, and that's why we need unique approaches for everyone, especially.
Mm.
So
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for like just wrapping that together, because I just kept on talking and talking, and that's so true what you're saying. That we are so unique and we all need different stuff. We all need different approaches, different techniques. That's why like on my Instagram, when I post like for example like ways to release stress, I post more examples because I know that not one is going to work for everyone. Like just check through the list, see which one that may relate to you, and see and try it. If it doesn't work, if you feel like no, that just made me feel uncomfortable or something else, try another one, because we are so different. And like if I would say like to all of my clients, if they need a breathing exercise, like here is yours, and like they would all get the same, I'm pretty sure like a lot of them wouldn't do it, because if it doesn't relate to them, if it doesn't feel good for them, it's not going to work. So yeah, like you said as well, we are so different and unique, and we need different stuff to feel good. That's why it's so important to just take the time or get the help to figure out what is your, like, what works for you, what is your thing, what is your ideal healthy life. That's, yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, what did you say?
that's what you're here for, to
Yes,
help find for every unique, like, individual type to find.
exactly. Exactly. And that's the interesting thing as well, that's like getting to know so many different unique people as well, like throughout the coaching. Just there's always someone, like there's always a new person, a new personality showing up, and just figuring that person out and together working on like how we can build this lifestyle that will work for you. I cannot compare my other clients and be like, everyone should have the same lifestyle. That will never work. So yeah, it's just like it's such a fun job as well to be able to just get to know so many different individuals and exploring their life with them. It's really interesting.
I just love this whole health talk because it's actually also what I'm really interested in. But there's one thing that I'm really curious, like just getting into the end of the interview.
Yeah.
Um, so whenever you struggle with one kind over another, let's say because it's been part of your journey as well, the sleep, the diet, the stress, whenever you struggle with it, what are your tools to get you back?
I would say going back to basics,
Oof.
for me. Yeah. So that is, I think that is the most important for me. Like just I usually just try, like when I feel really overwhelmed, like I told you about this week where just life was so stressful, and I was also like blaming myself so much for not showing up as I usually do. And you were like, it's okay. And I was like, yeah, it is okay. Thank you for reminding me of that. And just going back to basics and just sitting with yourself, thinking of, okay, what is not going well right now? What if, for example, I am, for right now, when I have figured out like what is healthy for me, and then I come into this loop of like being very stressed or maybe feeling super low on energy or something like that. I usually sit down with myself and figure out, okay, what has changed? What am I doing different? Like what are the patterns that may cause this? But if you don't know, if you're like fully on scratch and stuff, like I would say it's like first things first, like seeking help is definitely like just any kind of help. It could be like support from a family member, or it could be a coach, or like any other health profession. Just like figuring it out, because as soon as you figure it out, there's like this big relief of stress, because you don't have to worry like what's wrong with me, why am I feeling this way, is something wrong, am I sick, am I gonna die, am I this or this. Like you just kind of get it on paper, like okay, maybe it was just an allergy or a vitamin deficiency, or that I need to change my lifestyle in some way. And just figuring that out gives you this like this calm, that now at least you've taken the first step. Now you know what to do, like now you know what to start, where to start. And just that having kind of like a goal, and like seeing that okay, now I'm going to work on this, and this is going to get me there where I want to be. I just see like the instant relief in people when they have that, specific goal to work on. But yeah, so sorry, I don't even know what you asked for a question. Like I really just spiral with my thoughts.
Yeah, what are your tools? But
Yeah.
I think like it's also such a great like reminder that whenever like it's what you said earlier, like we it's not like, oh, I'm done growing and I will like, like,
Mm,
I will not continue to grow. It's the same with that. We're always in cycles. So
yeah.
it's just because we're like, I'm a spiritual coach or like whatever, you're like the holistic health coach, doesn't mean that you're like 100% the whole time not stressed or like
Mm,
having good sleep or whatever. So I think it's super important to understand for the audience as well, just to know that it's okay that sometimes life happens and then we get down like in like this bad loop okay, my habits, they change, and I'm like, I'm down on sleep, and I eat less healthy. But I think it's so inspiring then to hear that when you have this awareness, then you just sit down with yourself and be like, okay, I can see what's happening.
Mm.
I'm just analyzing myself and like my habits over the past what days, weeks, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
and just be able to say, okay, I noticed, oh, I've been eating a lot more processed food, which has been like, I don't know, low key stressing me out because I gained a little bit of weight, and that is like changed my body image. And then I'm like,
Mm.
oh, I'm so stressed, then I cannot sleep. I think that is so, I think so many people can relate because yeah,
Mm.
we always go down, like it cycles. So we have good moments and then we have like this bad ones, but then it's just the question of how do we get back?
Yeah.
And you said it, and it's like nothing needs to be added. Go back to basics. Just
Yeah.
remind yourself, and then just see like, okay, what am I lacking? What am I doing different? And it's
Mm.
all that needs to be.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And people may ask, like, okay, but what is basics? I would say like basics are your routines. And that's why it's so important to build up like good good like routines and habits for yourself, because when life is total like let's say when life throws you a curveball and everything just goes wrong and you're just like, what am I gonna do? Like what is the next step for me? I feel so overwhelmed. Then like going back to your basics, going back to your routines, it's what's gonna get you back on track. Because then you will find something that is familiar for you. And when you find something familiar, it suits the body. Because the body likes familiar, it doesn't like change. So that's why like I would say like always having like going back to basics means going back to your habits and your routines. That's why it's so important to have habits and routines that are healthy, that are, you know, supporting your body and like making sure that you are like living a lifestyle that is going to promote, you know, happiness and energy and just like optimal well-being, because those are the ones that's going to stick with you forever.
Amen to that. Yeah, love that. Okay, so we're coming to the closing part of the interview, and there's three. Not all of them are questions. Oh yeah, there are, but some of them are a little bit fun. Um, so if your life was a movie,
Oh
Nicole.
no.
Oh no, I took a long time to answer that question too, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Take your time. If your life was a movie, what would be the title? Take your time.
Mm, I think it would be like something about like the never ending journey.
I would watch that
Your
movie.
face.
Sorry, I have really facial
Yeah,
expressions.
but yeah, it just feels like that's how life is. It is a never ending journey, like of growth of everything. Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, so what advice would you like to give to your and our viewers?
I would say like taking the first step is always the hardest. It is always the hardest. But when you take the first step could be like for example in my case, the first step for my clients is to book a free discovery call to just see like where it could lead, to discuss just future plans. Like they just taking the first step, even if the first step is like this super small step, whatever you need help with or whatever is going on in your life, figure out the first step and take it, because that is always the hardest. And when you have like just like cross that first step, everything feels so much easier, because it is just like, yeah, it is just the first step that is super hard for me, for everyone, for you probably as well.
Is
It is, yeah.
after that you get the momentum, and then yeah.
Exactly. You get like, I would say hope, because you start realizing that, okay, there is another future for me. I'm not here and I'm not stuck here. I'm here now, but it doesn't mean that I'm gonna be here forever. you kind of get this hope, like this glimpse of light that there is a future where I'm going to be there instead, where I want to be. And that hope is everything. Like it's everything for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful advice. I love that. Thank you for
Thank
sharing that.
you. Thank you for asking.
Perfect. So the last question, obviously, would be where can our audience find you? Your social media accounts?
Okay, so to make it simple, where you'll find me, where I show up like almost every day, is my Instagram, and it's Nicole's Holistics. We're probably gonna post it like under in the bio or something as well, or in the caption. So it's just the Nicole's and Holistics, and it's just like put together. And there I post daily just tips and recipes and stuff, all to make a healthier lifestyle easier.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love your account. I love the tips that you share. So yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I love your accounts too. I love them a lot. I watched your videos, I think yesterday, and like it's amazing. I love it. I love that we are so similar too, like we said before, because like what you post about really clicks in me. So yeah, I really enjoy
That's
that as well.
like I didn't like mention it here or anything, but I've been like on the whole like health journey myself, and it's like all connected with the gut as well and stress, and I we will talk about it another time, but
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice.
my story.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to hearing your story as well as soon as it's posted. I'm gonna be the first viewer there.
Perfect. So, Nicole, it was an absolute pleasure to have this talk with you. I think it was an amazing conversation, and our viewers they learned a lot. You're such a beautiful, inspirational woman. Um, I cannot wait for the day that we will finally meet in person. It's a privilege to know you, to be able to have this like connection with you. So I'm deeply grateful for your time and your energy today. Um, yeah, just thank you.
Thank you so much. Gosh, that makes me so happy. Yeah, I'm so glad we got this time today. I'm so happy about the interview, about just like meeting you like this for the first time. I had such a blast, and yes, like I will definitely be heading to Germany soon. So
I we will close this, but I think I'm going to Sweden like maybe next week. So
oh my gosh, okay, that's
yeah,
perfect.
yeah, we can chat about it. Perfect. So we'll end this interview. Again, thank you so much. And I hope everyone enjoyed, and we see you next time.
Yeah. Thank you for being an amazing coach. Bye bye.
There we go.